Hi, it's Jim Reed with Next Level Coaching Powered by Summit Funding. And we do 2 podcasts a month and we record them so you can listen to them on your phone or watch them at your desk. And the whole purpose is to give you guys some content, to have you guys take a look inside some of our top producers and learn some of the stuff they do, get some tactics and get to know them. So today I'm super excited. I got Jacek Gillispie joining us. What's happening, Jacek?
What's going on, Jim? Hey, guys.
Mr. Exciting. So I'm currently coaching Jacek. He won my Dragon Award, and then we had some issues happen. So we're going to talk about those. But today I want the theme of our call to be how to make a comeback and really get to know what you're really good at when it comes to doing loans. But before we do that, take us back. I want to know, tell us a little about your history in loans. I want to know what you do before loans and then maybe when you got in. And give us some of your history of how you became an originator.
Well, yeah. So I'm 34 years old. So I didn't do a lot before loans because I didn't have a lot of time there. Kind of, college. I worked a few, retail jobs. I worked a Nike outlet, Safeway stuff. And then
you worked at a grocery store too?
Oh yeah.
How long did you work at the grocery store?
Just for just my freshman year of college. So whatever, 9 months or whatever.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you got kids and you're listening to this, get them in the grocery business. They got to work hard. It's got flexible hours. I like it. Anyway.
Yeah. How I got into mortgage, I worked in banking from 2011 to, I started in 2011 at Chase Bank. And I was just a personal banker there. So I was like kind of a, open accounts, checking accounts, savings accounts. I ended up getting licensed to refer investments to financial advisors. We would refer to our loan officers as well, like refi.
Were you one of those guys that would beat our rate because you were a personal banker for someone with a bunch of deposits? That job?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I basically just referred to loan officers. So I didn't originate loans, but I referred to loan officers for that. And I just had, actually it's funny, my first one ran out of batteries, but I had a calculator just like this. And I would just say boom, boom. I would just do a quick amortization and be like, hey, I think we can save you money. Do you want to talk to the loan officer? And they would say, yeah. So that's how I got into banking. And then basically mortgage. In 2013, I jumped over to the mortgage side with Chase. Worked there for a few years and then at a small bank and then came to Summit in 2016.
So what was your first full year originating? I always say that there's a difference between a loan officer and an originator. And sometimes there's some loan partner twos at our company that think they're originators, but they're really taking business and handling it, which is kind of the way I think of deposit loan officers sometimes. So what was your first full year originating where you had to develop your own business and leads?
2015.
And how many loans did you do?
33.
33. So 33 loans your first full year originating. How much money did you make? Did you remember?
55,000. It was at a bank, at a small bank, community bank.
Nice. And what's the most loans you've ever done in 1 year now?
Last year we did 227.
227 loans. And what'd you make?
Last year was $1,060,000, 1.06.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You got big loan amounts.
Yeah. No, not really. 227 loans. We got $295,000 average loan amount.
Wow. Okay, so then keep going. Take me through the how many loans you did each year and your maturation.
So I came to Summit in 2016. I think I ended that year with a combination of my old company and Summit. I think I had about 45 loans that year. And then the first full year here was 2017. I jumped up to 74 loans I did in that year. 2018, 68 was, you remember 2018, it was kind of a slow year for a lot of people and I kind of flattened.
Yeah, 2018, for those who are watching this, the end of 2018, December of 18, and then January of 19, rates were 5% at January of 19. And that's when the government started buying mortgage-backed securities. And fast forward to March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, which is why he's wearing that goofy suit. St. Patrick's Day, the government stopped officially is 100% out of buying mortgage-backed securities. And I quoted 5% this morning on a borrower. Their credit scores weren't the best, but I did quote 5%. So rates are back to that year. So yeah, it was a tough year. How many loans did you do that year?
2018, 68 loans.
And what'd you make? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it was 180, about 180,000. Yeah.
And that felt good.
Honestly, yeah, it was a slide back year because the prior year I made about 210. But it was my first year I hired somebody. So my prior year when I made more, I didn't have any employees. It was just me solo. So I had expense of an employee. I was learning. Yeah. And then it was a tough year for rates and the market. So, but yeah, then next, so I remember sitting in Robin Lavasser's living room at her old house. We were doing year-end planning at the end of 2018. And she said, "What are you going to do next year?" She kind of like poked at me a little bit and was like, "It's fine. It's a tough year. Didn't make Leaders Club." Oh yeah, that's another thing is that I had made Biggest Leap Award.
Oh, we went backwards on Leaders Club. That's tough.
I made Biggest Leap Award and then didn't make Leaders Club that next year. And she was like, "It's fine though. You made good money. That's really good. Just kind of poking the bear a little bit." So she said, "Well, listen, what are you going to make next year?" I said, I think I want to do 100 loans in 2019. And she goes, "Do you think, or are you going to do 100 loans?" And I was like, "I'm going to do 100 loans." And so sure enough, in 2019, and rates got better too. That was a good year for rates.
So pause right there for me, because that's a big moment. So how did you take that? What do you think she meant?
Well, I think that it's a concept that something that Todd said just not that long ago was that you guys, we were on a group call and it might have been you. You said, "You guys, this group of originators, you can just decide to do more loans." And I think that that's true for any originator, really. Obviously, if you're brand new and you're building a name, it's one thing, but we have the playbook. So it's about just executing, right? So at the time, I was disappointed in the year, but then excited for the next year. So when she kind of proposed that as a challenge and said, like, "Are you going to do it or not?" And I committed to doing it. When you commit to doing something, it's a lot more than just wanting to do it.
Yeah. For me, Robin's good at that, by the way. She does that a lot. And she's good at poking you a little bit. For me, I think the same exact thing. For me, the way I would say it is, before I answer those questions, when she does that to me, I pause and I think, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to do to get the results, right? Because it's really just about the effort and the sales activity. There's this crazy assignment going around called the circus, right? So mortgage circus or loan circus, where you got to make 100 outbound calls in one day. Have you ever done it?
Yeah, I've done it once.
And tell me about that experience for you.
It's exhausting and uplifting. That's the best way I can say it. When you're done with it, you're like, "I put in work today."
Yeah, you definitely feel like you worked.
Yeah.
What else did you get out of it?
A lot of leads.
Isn't that crazy? Like, yeah. You go do mortgage circus and you get 20 leads that day. And you're like, "Man, if I did this every day, I would make, like, for every 10 leads we get, we do 2.5 loans." That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you break it down by the numbers, we can do the effort. But that's what it does for me when people challenge me like that. It just makes me think, and what it does is make me ticked off about the times I don't do the work. I don't do the work. So this last year, I've been coaching you. Excuse me, guys, I got a hay fever really bad. This last year, I've been coaching you. Who's on your call? Is it Mike Black and
Mark
Massa? Great group. Bunch of young guys hustling and doing good. And you got the dragon. The dragon. You got the Yeti from me, our latest award, and
right there.
And that's a big deal. Like when I do the Yeti award, I don't have a formula. I go by who I think grew the most and who was the best student, like did the work. And you won it. But then what happened?
Well, I think that it happened to a lot of us. So, but yeah, I feel like, we were a combination of burnout and complacency. We had a really, really easy, it was easy to get leads. Hard to do. I mean, it was still hard when you're pumping out 20 to 30 loans a month. I mean, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So you're putting in time, your family's getting burnt out, you're adjusting and also it was like steroids in 2020. I mean, I went from having 2 employees to having 5 at one point. Now I'm back down
That's
to
a
4. But
full-time job right there, just managing them people.
oh, and training them. And, we bring green people in our company. We believe in training green people. So anyways, long story short, it was a lot. It was a lot of work. And so I feel like at the end of last year, 2021, I want to say a little complacency, because I almost felt like, I guess I haven't really thought about it, but I think I probably felt like it's just never going to end or something like that, I guess, in my head. I mean,
I'm laughing because I have been there, dude. So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, yeah. So I should finish my 2019. I did 112 loans, 2020, 223 loans, and last year, 227 loans. So I went from 68 to 112, made Leaders Club at 112 loans, and then doubled to 223, and then maintained last year. Great. It's been a great run. So I think what happened was this complacency took our foot off the gas. That's the best way I can explain it, is I kind of did what a lot of people do during the holiday time in our industry, real estate agents and loan officers, and I just let my foot off the gas a little bit between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, I just remember all of a sudden the lead trackers weren't great, and then the pay logs weren't great. Yeah. And I remember, it's been a couple of months now, but it seems like a long time ago when I think about it, because I've seen you do the work. But I can remember there was a look on your face, and I think a lot of people listening have shared it, and you looked like you were uncertain.
Well, there's a spot when so I'm used to getting, the last 2 years, I'm used to getting anywhere from 80 to 100 leads a month, right? So that's our 25 to 30% conversion ratio is going to get us, 20 to 30 loans, depending on, that month. So when I had 50, I think it was 51 leads in December and 52 leads in January, it's just rough, and so I had a little bit of fear around it. If I'm being honest, what
did those lead trackers, what did they end up converting to on pay logs for the following months?
So, it's in our industry, it's about 2 months behind, right? So January was still good because I was running off of November leads. So I think I led the company in January. I was number one in the company for closed loans. I closed 21 loans in January, but then February I went down to 9. I closed 9 loans in February.
I remember coaching you and looking at that and thinking it was wrong.
Well, with 9 loans to a lot of people, I mean, that's still a good month and for many people. But when you got 4 employees,
hard to make a paycheck.
That doesn't make it.
And then this month we're just finished. We're in the middle of March. How many loans are you going to close in March?
I mean, like I said, we had 2 bad months, so I think I'll be at 12 this month. I'm on the rise.
You're on the rise. What's April looking like?
I'll be back up to 15 or 16.
Good. So what I want people who are listening to get out of that story is, it can happen to you. It may have happened to you already, but there's a way out, and the way out is do the work. Actually follow the theme days. So what coaching does for people, what coaching does for me when I'm in those situations, well, first of all, what happens is I think that what I'm doing stopped working. You're laughing because maybe you thought the same thing, but really it was me who stopped working, right? Mm-hmm. And so then, because I think what I was doing stopped working, I start looking for new things to do to get business. And the truth is, I just got to go back to the basics. I shared this with you guys on the coaching call. I think it was 2 times ago. I interviewed the 10 of the top producers, my friends that are top producers around the nation, originators like us who do loans. I made them send me their 40 realtor list. So I had 10 top originators, top 40 realtor list in my hands. And I called them and I did we did a little exercise together. And I went through every realtor. I'm like, okay, your first realtor is Bill Smith. How'd you meet him? Next one is, Chet Gracie. How'd you meet him? I went through all of them. So 40 times 10, 400 realtors. And I came up with 88% of the top loan officers that I interviewed, 88% of their relationships came from either buddy lunches or Tuesday updates. Mm-hmm. Right. And so for me, I got to be honest, I had for a while, I kind of stopped doing Tuesday updates with a purpose of meeting them. I think you've always been really good at that. Tell us how you do Tuesday updates, what your process is like.
Yeah, so that's actually my favorite thing to do. But when you get down on loans, it gets hard. There's not as many people to call. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
we have a statusgram that my LP2 sends out to all parties. So buyers agent, listing agent, escrow agent, and buyer. And then
Hold on a minute. You send that to the escrow agent?
Yep.
Why do you do that? I don't think a lot of people do that.
We do it just to keep I don't know if you've worked with like some of the title companies that I've worked with, that WFG does this, at least up north. They send weekly updates, and I really liked it. So and it's got everybody on there, and it'll list everybody out, like who's in the transaction, what's going on, where's the ball at, right? So I think it's just good, because as you get closer, when you have a signing date at the end of the month and it's the 15th, and you say, hey, we're submitting for clear to close, well, we anticipate that documents will be out by the end of the week. That gives escrow a heads up, so you're not, because just when you get the docs out, how fast do realtors want to close, and buyers?
Like the next minute.
The next day, always.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So if it's the 12th of the month, and we are submitting for final clear to close, and we're supposed to close on the 30th, what's going to happen is at the end of that week, we get documents out Thursday. The realtor's going to say, can we close? Can we close? Can we close? And then if escrow didn't know where we were at in the process, all of a sudden they're like scrambling, like, oh, we don't have times tomorrow, we can't sign them. And then it looks like we can't get it done.
Yeah, it makes them look bad. So then they defend themselves and make us look bad. I never thought of that.
I don't know how many times, not my local, but I don't know how many times escrow agents have said like, well, I just got documents. And it's like, well, we sent you documents on Thursday. We're trying to close Friday. It should have been plenty of time, but we did a bad job of letting you know where we were at in our process. So now we added them so they know where we're at. And then we do Friday updates as well, just the statusgram. But on Tuesdays, I call buyers and agents.
You do statusgrams twice a week?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
So we don't do escrow on Fridays. It's just the agents and the buyer.
So guys, if you're listening to this, you can get a copy of his statusgram by contacting your Next Level Coaching Concierge. Right now, it's Aaron and Jasmine. But these recordings will be listened to for years. So I don't know who it might be when you're listening to this, but they'll have a copy of J6 statusgrams, and I'm going to get a copy. I'll start adding Fridays, because I'm not doing Fridays. I'm going to add that.
Gillispie team at summitfunding.net too. If the concierge change, you can always email my team, and my team will get you that. But yeah, so we just have a template that is we had Kaylee in our branch, in the Eugene branch, design a template that just says Gillispie team. It looks really professional, and it's just a copy paste job. You pull it up as a document, you put it in the email, and then the parties stay the same, so it's easy. The loan number stays the same, so it's just basically copy paste, edit the line that says where we're at. It's not too hard, but it's really professional, and it's you can update it. Everyone likes it.
Do Tuesday and Friday.
Yep.
Wow. How long? I'm sorry, I got to break this down, because I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do it, right, and how much more work it is. So how much more work is it? Like on Friday, how much labor is it? Who does it? How long does it take them?
My LP2 we don't do calls on Friday. It's just a statusgram. My LP2 does it.
Okay.
And I think he can knock out a pipeline of 20 in, a half an hour.
Nice.
It's not too hard. It's copy paste. Most of it, a lot of times not a lot's changed from Tuesday to Friday too. So you're literally just copy and pasting the same email over and just saying, we'll update you next week, so.
Yeah, but it's so valuable. The realtors, real estate agents, we kind of make fun of them as loan officers, but when you really look at how much coordinating they do, coordinating inspections, and working on being organized, if you're an originator and you can help them be organized, man, they won't stop using you.
Oh yeah.
See, that's a good maintenance tool,
Well, that's the biggest complaint that real estate agents have with lenders, is that there's a lack of communication. Yeah. So if you over communicate, if you beat them to the punch, there's nothing for them.
I can't remember ever getting that complaint.
I know when I interview realtors, when I do my 2-step close, so my very beginning one, that's the number one thing: communication. What do you want in a lender? Communication.
Yeah. All right. Sorry I interrupted you. Keep going.
That's all good. I don't remember what we're talking about. Tuesday updates.
So I'm talking how you do Tuesday updates to get to meet listing agents, because I know you're good at it, so I wanted to make sure we learned how you do it.
Yeah. So Tuesday updates, I think the biggest thing, and you kind of you and I talked about this before this call, but it's to call with purpose, right? So you're not calling to give an update. You are in a way, but I think what a lot of people miss is, you might, out of your, let's say you have a pipeline of 25 loans, and, let's say 15 of them are purchases or whatever. So you've got to call 13 listing agents because you might have the same listing agent on a couple, right? The thing that people miss is of the 7 or 8 voicemails that you leave, people leave the information. And that's the biggest miss of Tuesday updates. I never call and say, hey, Jim, it's Jacek at Summit Funding. I wanted to let you know that on 123 Main Street, we're in final underwriting. Call me if you have any questions. I think that's what a lot of people do. That's the same voicemail everyone's leaving. So instead, it's something like, hey, Jim, it's Jacek over at Summit Funding. I got some important information. Give me a call.
Oh, you really do that?
Oh, yeah.
I think they think we're fibbing. Like, I think loan officers, like entry-level loan officers and the MLAs that this company, like our company's big on growth. And I look around my branch and like 70% of my loan officers were either loan partner ones or MLAs, whatever you want to call it, depending on what era they were in. I think that when they listen to us do these training CDs and CDs, wow, look at my age. Training recordings, that they don't believe we really do it. So you really say, hey, I got important information on your escrow, call me back.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might be a little out of context. So first, there's always the thing with Tuesday updates. It's not just about the update, right? So we always do an offer call, right? I hope everyone's doing that. I had some students this last week that asked me, what are you doing to get your offers accepted? And I said, well, I call the listing agent every time. And they're like, every time? I'm like, are you guys not calling the listing agent?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Hey, you're not doing a good job for your buyer if you're not calling the listing agent. We're in a really, really tight market with 20, 25 offers on houses.
Well, not only that, you're begging for something to say, right? Like you're a new loan officer in the industry and you can't figure out what to say to call a new agent. And you have a perfect reason to call them. And they don't call them. Cracks me up.
We got some money for you. Please take it, So that's the setup is that. And then once you have an accepted offer, we do a thank you call, gratitude call, basically. Like we're so grateful.
I don't do that.
You don't?
Well, nah. I mean, I do a call, like when I get the contract, I'll do a call and go over, like I got a little script I do, but I don't do an independent, hey, thanks so much for accepting an offer. Once I get a copy, I'll call you and go over the details. I don't do that.
I do that I do that with my contract. So I get a contract. I usually, that's when I know I've got a deal, right? I get a contract in the email. So I'll call the listing agent the next day. If I get, a lot of times I feel like I get contracts at like 9 o'clock at night. So I'll call the listing agent the next day and just say, hey, we're super grateful to work with you. Please, thank you so much for taking our offer. And then I'll set it up like, hey, do you have a few minutes? Can I tell you about our process? So I have weekly updates, and then, hey, and then also, you get some agents, especially the ones you work with a lot. They don't necessarily, some of the listing agents, they don't need an update. They don't need you to call them, right? Yeah, so I say, do you want to just put me to voicemail? Do you want me to text you? Do you want me just to include your TC? That's another person. We put TCs on our Tuesday statusgrams and so Friday.
The statusgram goes the TC and the escrow officer and the
listing and buyer
assistant, maybe, I don't know.
Usually a lot of our
people that you can send it to, the better, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of our escrow also have team emails, so it'll just go to their team email and then they'll spread it out. But yeah, anybody who really needs to know what's going on, we put them on there. So, but yeah, so the thank you call, set up your process. I'm going to call you every Tuesday unless you don't want me to. And then if I do that and we close on time, close smooth, and I call you every Tuesday, do you agree to meet with me? And I two-step close them.
Okay. So I have been teaching that. I learned that from Josh, my friend Josh, probably who you learned it from.
I think Todd.
Maybe Josh. It's the guilt close, I call it, right? If I do these things, will you meet with me?
Right.
And first of all, do you really say that? And second of all, what do they say in response? Because I believe that the MLAs and the newer people in our company don't believe us that we say that.
So yes, I really say it. I think with closing skills, and you're the master of closing. But I think with closing skills, you have to read the situation too. So do I use that specific close on every agent? No. So sometimes it's more of an assumptive close. Sometimes it's like, hey, Jim, I'm going to call you every Tuesday. Everything goes smooth. We're going to meet, right? You know what I mean? Something like that, like more of an assumptive, but yes, I do ask to meet. And what I'll tell you is if they open it up before that, don't wait. You don't have to wait till the end of the transaction to meet with them. But you always
you're saying during the weekly updates, if it's a layup, take it.
Yeah, if it's a
Yeah.
layup, take it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also what I'll say is don't let it go past closing. So my final call when we've got docs out, I set the
that's good.
appointment at that time.
That's good. I think a lot of people wait, and then I think it's kind of like, when you're younger and you're single, everybody's been single, okay? Everybody on the planet's been single. Whether you're a boy or a girl, you met people and you exchange phone numbers, and then you're supposed to call them, and then you wait till the next day, and then you're going to wait till the afternoon, and then I'll do it tomorrow, and then you get tomorrow, and you're like, oh, I waited too long, and you never call.
Yep.
I think people do that with agents.
Oh yeah. I don't know how many 40 realtor calls people make in the afternoon or start making their calls at 5 o'clock.
Yep. And then, so Tuesday updates. Going back to where we were, the beginning of this conversation, 88% of these originators met their agents either through Tuesday updates or buddy lunches. We just went through your process. Anything to add on Tuesday updates before I ask you my next question?
Nope. Just make it meaningful.
Make meaningful. I think it's one of the things that you must commit to in your business every week.
Mm-hmm.
I always say there are 4 things that you got to commit to, and one of them is for sure Tuesday updates. It has to be that you never ever skip, and it's the one thing that drives your business. So setting that aside for a second, as an originator, what's one more thing that you can teach us? We got a few more minutes on this call. What's something else that you're really good at? Maybe we don't know that really gives you some results that moves the needle that you can teach us.
Well, so I think that my biggest skill is, as far as loans go, is problem solving. And I don't know if I can do specific tactics around that, but I would say as you do more loans, as you get more at bats, you see the different scenarios, right? You see all the different pitches, if you will. And so you learn how to hit different pitches. So I think
so you're saying, hey, you're like a master technician. Cash credit income, and you know how to put together a deal and when to use split premium MI, when to use upfront, when to use an 80-15-7 or what to adjust the increments. Is that kind of what you're up to?
Yeah. You submit a file.
Were you impressed that I knew all that stuff? Huh? Come on.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying, but so you get something back, or credit report, credit score changes, and all of a sudden the MI jumps up to where it kicks it ineligible, but you've got some extra room, so you're changing to a split premium, or you're doing an upfront buyout, or whatever, or like, oh, let's try it. I don't know how many times I should just say this. Run it Freddie. I don't know how many times people run to you and it refers, and then they throw their hands up, and then they don't run Freddie. So how many times you switch the AUS findings? People
don't understand. Fannie and Freddie are not related. They're not brother and sister. They're in competition, and there's I'm trying not to use the word geek, but there's some computer geeks who know the data in Fannie that work for Freddie and figure out how to program their underwriting engine to do a loan that Fannie won't do. They do that on purpose. So take advantage of it and run it both ways. I agree with that.
Yeah. So many times, reserves, throw reserves, get it, retirement accounts, all that stuff. But yeah, anyways, basically figuring out how to do a loan that someone else said that they could.
So, okay. So here's a tactic that you can give me. So when you have a skill like that, if it's a secret, it don't matter. Right? Like I tell people, hey, if you met with me and you called Jacek up and did the loan by him, and then you called Ringrose, and then you did a loan committee, and you actually pulled Todd Scrimmett in, who owns the company, and you basically talked him into doing a tough loan, and no one knows, it don't matter.
Right.
Like you got to be able to brag about it. So if you're telling me that's one of your biggest skills, how do you market it?
So that's something that I do, and this is something so we do evidence of success. So when I'm meeting with realtors or whatever, always have like 3 or 4 stories with scenarios that we closed that other people couldn't. So in fact, I did a meeting at a real estate office.
Stop, dude. Todd taught me that 22 years ago.
Okay.
Like what you just taught, I have forgotten about. So like Todd would do the 2-step close, and I would go on the meetings with him, right? This is when the whole company was like 6 people. And he would bring files. Like we used to have big old thick files. I don't know how long you don't. So it used to be these big thick files stacked all over the floors and stuff in originators' offices. So he would go do the 2-step close and find out about communication, or being right about a loan,
Mhm.
which is what you're talking about, being a master technician. And we'd go back for the second step, and he'd have like 3 big loan files in his goofy looking briefcase, and he would slam them down the desk. On this one we did, the way I fixed it was blah 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 blah. He'd grab the file, slam it down the desk. On this one I did split premium, blah 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 blah. On this one we just asked grandma to co-sign and she said yes, and the other loan officer didn't think of it. That's how he used to demonstrate it, which is what you just said.
Yeah, so I don't know about everybody, but like whenever you meet a new real estate office or whatever, and I don't know, everyone should be asking realtors to be able to be in their meetings. So I'll always be like, hey, when's your guys' next meetings? They're always asking, what's the new program? What are you guys offering that, what differentiates you? And I don't know about everybody, but for me, I just want to sometimes be like, we all do the same stuff. It's all the same. I do the same stuff as I did before, but then I like to bring examples of how we can do things differently, right? So, hey, this person was doing a loan with this company. You don't say the company, but with another lender, and then you can explain an online lender, right? So here's why you shouldn't use an online lender, because they couldn't figure this out. And it's very simple. Or sometimes you can even say another local lender.
Nice.
You don't have to say who it is, but maybe you whisper it in their ears afterwards.
So some huge nuggets if you're listening. Number one is ask to attend the meeting. So write these down if you're listening. When you're meeting with a realtor, ask and see if you can get invited to just sit in on their meeting, because they'll ask you questions even if you're not like supposed to speak, right? Sit on the meeting, they'll say, who's this? And then they'll have questions for you. So that's a big one I wrote down. Do demonstration sales. So to give them examples of how you fixed the deal or saved the deal, and be specific on the technique you used so you can demonstrate your knowledge. I think you re-taught me that. I think I've drifted away on that one. Add a Friday statusgram to your listing agent marketing campaign. Include the escrow officer and the transaction coordinator on the statusgram. Man, you gave me like 4 or 5 good ones, dude. That was excellent. What else can you teach me?
I don't know if I can teach you much, but I guess the last thing that I do is leverage time. So, and this is something we also talked about, or you talked about, how 88% was either buddy lunches or Tuesday updates.
Yeah.
And that's my 2 biggest things. It's a built-in triangle of trust, right? You don't even have to triangle of trust them. They already do, because they got invited by their person that knows them, that knows you, that trusts you.
Yeah.
Right. So I do a standing, I called it a happy hour, but it's become more like a buddy lunch, but every Wednesday we get wings at a local bar. I invite everybody from every real estate office, and I get usually anywhere from 2 or 3 people to 8 to 10 people. And so we do it every Wednesday for lunch from noon to 1:30.
So you do a weekly realtor lunch at the same place at the same time, and you just spend the whole week inviting people to it, kind of.
Yeah, so I'll call people on Mondays. I also have a couple of really good escrow partners that help me promote it. So, and they show up every time too. And so it's funny, because sometimes it'll just be me, the sales gal over at the title company, and like 1 or 2 of my A realtors. And then sometimes all of a sudden 8 realtors will show up that, from offices, because they know I have it every week.
Does your team come?
Yeah, I'd say about once a month my team comes. Yeah. We don't like to shut the office down.
Are they only allowed to come? Because these guys are all thinking of detailed questions. So I'm trying to anticipate, right? So is your team always allowed to come, and sometimes they decide to and sometimes they don't? Or is there one time a month that they get to come?
No, it's the first thing. So they're always invited. And so the rule I have at this thing is I buy the food that everyone else buys the drinks. I don't buy drinks. I just buy food. So I work the deal out with the bar where the wings, that he gives me a discount on the wings. So I just buy everyone wings. I'm not going to buy.
They're calling you. Your new nickname is Nichols. I love it.
If someone wants to buy a burger or whatever, that's on them. I got wings though, so I'll buy the wings, and you buy the drinks. But yeah, so they're invited every time.
On me, wings are for free by Jacek Gillispie. I like it. You know what? I'm getting frustrated at listening to you, because what happens when I do these recordings is I remember stuff I used to do that I stopped doing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I used to do is once a month, I like yours better. I'm copying yours for my personal business. You know, I do loans, I run a branch, and then I run the coaching program. So I got to promote all three. And so what I used to do was on the first Thursday of the month, as long as it wasn't the first, you know what I mean? Like as long as the date wasn't the first. I had a happy hour scheduled and everybody knew about it, and all my loan officers could bring anybody they wanted. So I figured at least I'd be hanging out with the loan officers that I work with, because I always want to hang out with them, and they can bring realtors. And everybody had at least one leveraged events that month because everybody would participate. And we just stopped doing it. And we would invite every agent on both sides of every deal we closed the previous month. So we had an automatic thing that said, hey, thanks for closing a deal with us. We're doing a happy hour for the realtors that we closed the deal with. Please come and hang out. And so all the listing agents and all the buyer's agents from every loan officer and every deal in our branch would get invited automatically.
Yeah.
And there'd be new relationships. Wow. Gotta keep doing the stuff that works, man. It's crazy.
I like it. It's one of those things when it's automated like that, and once people are used to it, I don't even really have to promote it. It just happens. Like it's organic now.
Yeah.
So, and then guess what? It happens when I'm not there, and it's still my thing. If I'm gone for a week, the escrow officer will be like, we're doing wings still. I don't have to buy those weeks, but like they still meet for Wing Wednesday. It's Wing Wednesday every Wednesday.
I love it. All right. So give me, so I learned a bunch. I'm super happy and proud to be your coach. I think that you have grown at Summit Funding, you know, from the very beginning, from being a guy that I would see kind of lurking around the background at the events to someone who is featured and on the stage. You are someone that that loan officers can aspire to be like. Good family man. You take care of your family really well. It's something I admire. I did notice you went on a lot of vacations towards the end of last year. That might have been a contributing factor. But anyways, a good family man, really good boss. In other words, I pay attention, and I know that the staff likes to work with you. That matters. And a really great student. So final thoughts before we wrap up.
You know, this coming year, it's a tough year. This is 2022. We're recording this. I want to just tell everyone, put your nose down and grind, because if you pull your nose up and you start looking around about how awesome this job is and how, you know, easy it is, sometimes you'll lose sight and then you forget. And then it's what you said to me one time was, when you turn the faucet off, how long does it take to turn back? How long does it take for it to come back around? 3 times, 2 or 3 times as long. Yep. So you take 1 or 2 months off from prospecting, it's going to take a lot longer to come back.
Yeah. Excellent advice. Thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And for you guys out there listening, if you're part of Summit Funding and you're in our coaching program, if you know someone who's not, tell them what you get out of it. Help us. I want to get 100% of our loan officers in our coaching program, because I think, why wouldn't we? Right? Why wouldn't we help each other get better? And Jacek, thanks again. Have a great day, guys. Bye.